Hello everyone and welcome back to another The Ace Talk Show, radio style. You know what to do, just listen on in. Don't forget to leave a comment or a like or whatnot at the end of the video and spread the word. Others might enjoy the talk show also. Today's topic is going to be about the combat beta, or what will be the new combat system here in RuneScape. Now, the first thing to mention here is Jagex is not, I repeat, is not the Jagex a lot of us long-term players grew up or got used to playing the game with. There used to be a lot of different moral sets that the original Jagex had set in place that a lot of us veteran players agreed with, and the main reason why we stuck with the game. As far as, well, a lot of the veteran players, you know what they are. Your real life earnings should not affect what you can get in the game. That was the key number one thing. And the another thing was the main Jagex understood that a lot of us players basically became addicted to the game because of how hard it was, how hard things were to level, how hard things were to achieve things to level with and or get to level with, and also how hard it was to actually become a higher level in anything. Now, this new version of Jagex, if you notice the logo changed, the what Jagex stands for now, it's all the investors. The original owners no longer own Jagex. They do own a share, but they are no longer part of it. Hence, now we have microtransactions and the Squeal of Fortune and Solomon's store or shop or whatever. And if you noticed also too, all the skills that you used to have to have determination to earn your level with, a lot of people call it grinding or whatever, but it's mainly the determination of what made it so hard. Now, they're removing a lot of that aspect. The game's becoming nothing but more than combat only. It used to be that you had to level skills to do the quest, and then also too you had to level combat to get the items to do the skills. Now it's not so much that way. It's now basically all about the combat, and the skills are they're just handing out experience. I mean, no player is going to really want to stick with this game if they're instantly going to level up with no problem whatsoever. I mean, I started a noob account here just after they switched over to having to have an email to log in with instead of just a username. I started a new account, and I've already got almost 1,000,000 gold pieces on it that was handed to me. 1,000,000 gold pieces that was handed to me from the Squeal Fortune. Now, of course, I'm not going to buy spins. That's a waste of money. And I'm not going to buy stuff for Solomon's shop. And a lot of the levels that I've gotten on it is nothing but the lamps that was just handed to me. And now you got these pendants and you got a whole bunch of this other stuff. So the skills have really been going downhill. We're losing a major aspect of the skills, the determination to get levels, the respect that used to be gained by having a 99 level, or by the respect that used to be gained by maxing out the experience to 200 million experience in a skill. A lot of that's gone, or it's slowly disappearing. There's a player that has either wealthy family or maybe they're wealthy in real life or whatnot, but they sat there and they bought a whole bunch of spins, and they've bought with real cash 2 to 399s already, and they're still going. Now, I'm not going to name the player, they know who they are or whatever, but I mean, come on. your real life money situation should not affect your game life, basically. Now, in saying that, your game life is supposed to be about your determination and the challenge it takes to gain your levels. If a game is not challenging, what's the sense of playing it? It's a game. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to make you want to keep playing it and keep playing it and keep playing it, because it's so hard to do, or it takes so much long-term determination to keep playing it. The way the skills are going right now, it seems like the game's going to be a 3-month, maybe a 1-year game, and a lot of players are just going to quit because they're being handed the experience. Oh yeah, it took me 3 months to get 5.99s. It took me another 3 months to get, the other another 5.99s. Well, I'm not interested in doing the other skills. Quests are dropping downhill as far as, how should I say? Quests are really going downhill because there's no drive to do them. There's no real reason to do them. I mean, you can pretty much buy your levels. It's not required that you do a quest or whatever to make certain things that became the best way to gain experience. And then now with this combat situation change, it's really bringing in this new the investors. It's bringing in the investors' view of what gaming should be and what they've had experience in. Now, if you really want to know what the new RuneScape's going to end up being more about, look up who the investors are. Look up what they've had experience in. I mean, some of these people that are in the new marketing department, they've already crashed or they've already destroyed a couple games using microtransactions. They've already been part of companies that have been destroyed due to the same patterns that they're starting to add to RuneScape. Now, if Jagex, if you're listening to this, really look at the behind the scenes stories of who you hired. I mean, your marketing department, if they were involved in the crash or the downfall of games, why the hell did you hire them? I mean, and the investors out there, I mean, you need to really focus on the problems in the game and not trying to update it. Also, there's a lot more things that need to be updated. The world of RuneScape itself can be expanded, definitely to the west. I mean, we've been promised that for God knows how long, and it still hasn't taken place. And this, as far as this combat goes, this quick click or button mashing or whatever you want to call it, shortcut key combat, it's not too bad, to be honest, but however, it shouldn't be the main part. It shouldn't be the main part of combat. It should be something that was brought in just a little bit. Something that was a bonus to your combat when, to help things along with your combat, but not completely take it over. Kind of like a lot of us know the DDS, or the Dragon Dagger Super Poison, or DDP++, or whatever you want to call it. We know the special attack. Now, if you wanted to really upgrade combat, what they should have done was is add a little aspect to it. Add it to where you can use these abilities after doing quests or after gaining certain skill levels. I mean, they should be extras. They shouldn't be the main part of the game. They shouldn't be the main part of combat. And that's what it is right now. And even then, the way it's set up right now, being the main part of the combat, they should remove the combat triangle completely. Because the combat triangle has nothing to do with the true actuality of the combat. The true combat now is going to be nothing but a player's skill, and also what has a quicker recharge time and what has a higher hit with a quicker recharge time. So really, if a ranger is supposed to be able to take out a mage on the combat triangle, that's not going to be true. It's going to be the player's skill to use these abilities, these shortcut keys, to be able to button mash quicker or fast click quicker and time it right before, and for the mage to be weak to the ranger. If you do play beta right now, the beta version, I could walk in with a melee, and within just a few seconds of using the best abilities that I could with the melee, and get owned by a ranger because it has a quicker recharge on some of the major hits or some of the major things that could bleed you out, so to speak. That's not right. I mean, I'm a melee in the combat triangle, should be able to own or take out a ranger with no problem because they have major armor. The arrows and that should not go through the armor so easily. But that's not the case. It's about the special ability, or it's about the abilities, not special abilities, because that would, that'd be like special attacks. It just doesn't work. Because a ranger can easily take out a melee and can take out an not so good person on a mage. Same with mage and melee. A melee person should be able to take out a mage if they have the right skills, the right abilities set up. However, a mage right now is way overpowered. They can make it so a ranger or a melee person cannot touch him really. Well, kind of, because, well, the melee is about the weakest right now. That still needs to be fixed. But overall, the combat triangle just does not work. It does not make sense because of the way it's set up. It relies on basically 100% of the player's skill to use the ability. So the combat triangle should be just removed. And if they really want to fix it to make it a whole lot better overall, they should have melee as a skill, mage as a skill, ranger as a skill, and then also add attack, strength, and defense for each category. So you're going to have one extra skill than you do right now in RuneScape. You're going to add melee skill. Your attack, strength, and defense will all add to the 3 combat types. Now we're going to talk types and style. So your combat types are melee, mage, and ranger. Your combat styles are attack, strength, and defense. Well, for a melee, your attack would be knowing how to use that weapon. Your strength would be how strong you can hit with that weapon, and your defense would be, of course, just add this defense. I mean, it's like a different stance. So your attack would be like the way it was thought to be right now. It's supposed to be how accurate you can use that weapon and how good you are basically with hitting on a constant, well, accuracy. Strength is how hard, of course. Now if you really think of the ranger is, well, if you add attack skill to ranging and not just use range defense that they have in beta, but range with attack, means that you can shoot your crossbow or arrow and at least hit constantly. Now your strength behind it would be, of course, how hard you can hit with an arrow or a bolt. Now if you put strength in the aspect of ranging, it's basically how hard you can pull back that bowstring and release it. Same with a crossbow. The higher up the crossbow, the stiffer or the more foot pounds behind that string it can be released at. And defense, of course, is defense. That's about the only thing they did in beta that makes sense. Now mage, now you don't really have all three, but you do. Mage, your attack in Mage, of course, would still be more of accuracy. It would be more how often you hit, how constantly can you hit. And your strength would actually be more of a mental strength power, so to speak, or a body power, however you want to say it, to be able to hold that energy, to be able to transfer it out through your staff or your wand, or just cast a spell. And your defense is defense. Now, if they really did that, it would make a whole lot more sense. And then they would just have to balance out the abilities a little more. Actually, they could probably remove a lot of the abilities and only add one or two things that are special to melee, one or two things that are special to the range, one or two things that are special to mage. All the other abilities they have, they could link them to all three combat types. This way, there's really no unfair advantage if you're a ranger, or if you're a mage, or if you're a melee. I mean, right now, a ranger has a threshold, not even a threshold, it's a basic ability that can bleed out a player because they're moving. Now, the only person that can go up against a ranger would be a mage, because they're farcast type combats. So if a ranger goes against a meleeer and they make them bleed, and they bleed more if they move, well, of course a ranger is going to make a melee person move, because they have to get close to that ranger. I mean, that doesn't make sense. That ability should be gone. But then at the end, it makes sense for the ranger. But I mean, it's just not being done right. As you hear, I'm going in circles about different things. The combat beta, the way they're setting up these abilities, is just not being done right. The ability should only be brought in from doing quest. You open up the ability, and also too, you should only have added at most 5 abilities. Period. Overall, 5 abilities. 5 abilities per combat type. Not style. Style is attack, strength, and defense. 5 abilities per combat type. And that you can open up. Like basically a special for the weapon. And then in those 5 abilities that you give to the combat type, it's because of the different weapons or different type of combat you can do, is why I say 5. Because with melee, you got daggers, you got swords, you got short swords, long swords, 2-hand swords, and that pretty much covers it. With mage, you got different levels of different mage books, and also different levels of spells, which would relate to those 5 abilities. With rangers, you only have a 2-hand bow. Well, you got the short, the long, the 2-hand bow. You also have the crossbow, and then a 2-hand crossbow. There's your 5. So 1 ability added per each one. Now, also too, I should say, they should add like maybe an extra ability or 2 abilities to the style, the attack, strength, defense. This way you can mix it up. Like defense should have a heals, of course, a heal style, or a heal ability, or absorb ability. Your strength should have like a high hit ability, and that's pretty much it. And then your attack should have maybe a double hit ability, because you're so accurate at what you hit that you're able to hit, twice basically. Kind of like if you shoot at the body, you made it so where it hit the body, but also too it turned around and caused damage to the arm, or whatever. Kind of like 2 hits. That's the way I think they should do it. if they do combat beta right, it should be balanced out to where you can click and just watch your guy combat, or click and use your abilities kind of like you did to the special attacks per the weapon type. Now, if they wanted to do it the way I just suggested, having basically maybe a total of 6, 7, let's go a max of 10 abilities per combat type, adding 5 per combat, adding some per combat style. And if they lowered it down more to where it's not as important to use the abilities, it's a bonus, but not as important to use the abilities, they could bring back the special attack. They could bring back like an extra button on the side of the activity bar that says special attack per weapon. This way your God Swords didn't lose their characteristics, your DDP++ didn't lose its characteristics, your Granite Maul doesn't lose its characteristics, and then same with D-Skimmy, D-Long, D-Claws, a whole bunch of, you guys know the special attack weapons. They might even possibly could add some more special attacks to other weapons if they do it the way I suggested. But however, it's not going that way. So, yeah, the game's going kind of more towards nothing but combat related, and the skills are all going to just a handout of experience. Now, if you want to be a real gamer, a hobbyist of RuneScape, if you want to be a hobbyist of RuneScape, do it the old way. Don't use bonfires for doing fire making. Don't use the ruin span to do rune crafting. I mean, come on, in just a single month you can get 99, depends on your game time, in both skills. Definitely if you got the GP to just buy your items for fire making, which a lot of players do. That's another thing. If you want to be a gaming hobbyist, don't buy your items off the Grand Exchange. Go gather them yourself. That is originally what made RuneScape so good and so addicting, because it was more like real life. It was hard, it was challenging, it took determination. You got respect from your level because you actually took the time to do it. The way it's going now, with all these handouts of experience, well, just try to stick in there, try to play it the old way, try to stay to the hobbyist side of the gaming. Otherwise, you might as well make a whole bunch of different accounts and maybe a whole bunch of different builds, and see how quick you can level every skill. And then, of course, after you've done that, you might as well quit. I mean, there is no longevity to having a members account anymore. There's no reason to have longevity. I mean, like I said, within a year you can pretty much make a maxed account. The only thing that is left is making an account 200 million experience and everything. And that won't take long. They're handing out experience. I mean, come on. There's only a couple skills left that you actually have to still basically earn it. You still have to be there and play it. You have to train it to gain the experience. There is really no handout for the experience on them. But there'll probably be a handout for them here shortly. But anyways, until next time, leave a comment, like, and have fun, and good luck.